Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So I thought we'd have a look back at some of the races over the weekend. What caught my eye? There was a few that caught my eye for different races. There's a couple that we definitely need to check their handicap marks over the next few days. But let's kick off with the first race that I was interested in, horse, was the Potemps Network Handicap Hurdle, a qualifier at Aintree over the weekend. The horse that I thought was very interesting was Pillion. Now, the reason Pillion caught my eye I was interested to see how he ran, was 2 years ago. He was a good horse and he ran some really good races. He finished second in the Martin Pipe behind Indefatigable at the Cheltenham Festival. And then last year it all just went wrong. On his return, he finished fourth, I believe. Let's have a look. He finished fourth in October. And then after that, he pulled up 8th, 12th. On Saturday at Aintree, I thought that was the first sign of a good performance from him in a little while. And I think he just got a bit tired. It was his first try over the trip as well. But I do think he's very interested going forward. He's now qualified for the final. We know, obviously, he runs well at Cheltenham. He's just about suggested that he stays the trip with the run on Saturday. And I think he could be very interesting in the final next year, so later on this season. He's not one I'll be mad to rush and have a bet on yet, but he's definitely one that's made my shortlist for the Potemps final already. He might need to go up slightly to get in, but it'd be interesting to see what they do with him for the rest of the campaign. So that's Pillion is the first horse that caught my eye. The second horse ran in the Grand Sefton, and first of all, I'd like to say that I thought the ride Senior Citizen was given was brilliant. He finished second, he was top rated, and yet I have absolutely no qualms with the ride whatsoever. I thought the jockey gave him every chance. He asked him into the fences at the right time. He just wasn't good enough on the day. Mac Totty was better than him on the day. You sometimes see jockeys that finish second or especially pundits and punters moan about their jockey because it finished second and it was, a short price. But in this instance, I thought that ride was absolutely fine. I thought it was a good ride. He just wasn't good enough on the day. But the horse that really caught my eye was the horse who ended up finishing third, Manuel. If you go back and watch that again and watch it from the canal turn or coming into the canal turn, he makes a bit of a mistake at the canal turn and a horse in front also makes a mistake, and that hampers him, and he ends up running really wide. At that point, he's, how many ran? 13. I think he's probably 10th at that time, so there's not far to go. He's had to run wide. He didn't jump particularly well at that fence, and he's got himself a long way behind. The effort that I felt he made to close up from 10th to get within jumping distance at the last, he was only a length or so behind the front two at the last, has cost him late on in his effort, and he's dropped back to third. But I thought there was a really good effort considering where he'd come from, and also I noticed that he had previously been running over further. So at Sedgefield he ran over 3.5. He's also done 3.5 at Catterick, 3.1 at Catterick, 3.1 at Haydock, which is quite a stiff track. So I think he probably needs further than 2 mile 5. And I just wonder whether this was a sighter to come back for the Beecher Chase over 3 mile 2 furlongs on Saturday the 4th of December. He finished third, so his handicap mark shouldn't change, but he actually went off 40-1. I'd love them to send him off 40-1 for the Beecher. I think he'll have a really good chance. If he jumps a little bit better, I'd be very disappointed if he doesn't go very close in the Beecher Chase over what I think is probably a more suitable trip. The third horse I want to talk about is a horse called Orban. Orban finished third in the Virgin Bet Handicap at Doncaster, over 7 furlongs. Now, the reason I highlighted Orban is I actually highlighted him to a potential owner who was looking at buying a horse, and I highlighted Orban as one that I thought was worth buying with the Lincoln in mind. He finished 5th in it this year off 102 and he's now rated at 94. But I also said in the write-up, he clearly needs the full 1 mile trip. Today, or on Saturday, sorry, he ran over 7 furlongs. Travelled really well, came down the near side, which may have been against him. But he ran on really strongly again and he finished 3rd. I do think if he gets in the Lincoln next year, he's well worth having another bet on in the Lincoln. I think he wants the 1 mile trip. You can see his last few, especially these two, haven't been over that 1 mile trip. But as soon as he gets the 1 mile and at at Doncaster, I think he'll go very close. Hopefully that will be in the Lincoln next season. The 320 at Aintree saw Brewing Up a Storm really impress over 2.5 mile. But the horse that I'm most interested in is the horse who finished 2nd, If the Cap Fits. If the Cap Fits, I think, by only finishing 2nd there, has demonstrated that he's not a Grade 1 animal anymore. And I really hope that they give up on these types of races and they go handicapping with him. The reason I think they should go handicapping with him, he's now down to a mark of 150 from a high of 166. Off 166, I'd never be running in handicaps because you'll be giving away so much weight, you'll be top weight, and there'll be horses running from out the handicap, you'll be that far clear. But off 150, you probably won't even be top weight. You could be like 11.10, 11.8 sort of mark. And I thought for finishing 2nd at Aintree, he picked up $9,000, which it's fine. But if he targets, or if they target this race here, which is a 3 mile handicap back at Aintree at the end of the season, last year that race was worth 31 to the winner, and the 2 years before that it was worth 42 to the winner. And I actually think he could win that, rather than running at Aintree in the graded races, and particularly when the bigger names, the proper Grade 1 animals turn up. He could finish 5th or 6th and pick up $3,000. That's pointless in my opinion, just continually running around for $3,000. Drop down into a handicap and try and win one of the big handicaps and actually get some decent prize money. So If the Cap Fits, I did like him back here and I suggested the Ladbrokes. I don't think they'll be going back over fences with him, but I thought the Ladbroke Trophy off 150 looked ideal. I think any handicap they run in over the 3 mile to 3 mile 2 sort of trip would be really good for If the Cap Fits. And I think it's more lucrative than trying to finish 4th or 5th in the graded races. The next horse I want to talk about is a horse called Cap du Nord. Cap du Nord went off the 9-2 joint favourite for this race with Hurricane Harvey, and he finished 4th. He was travelling pretty well turning into the straight, and he just actually ran into the back of Rocco, who started to struggle, and then Rocco started to respond again. Cap du Nord didn't get the clearest of runs, and then as he turned into the straight, he made a mess of I think it was the 3rd last, where he landed. Well, he didn't land running. He landed on his back legs, and that just meant it stopped some of his forward momentum. The 2nd last, Storm Home, then fell. Cap du Nord was behind him at the time and again got slightly hampered, but he's finished a good 4th, and I'd be shocked if we don't see him at Kempton on the 27th of December in the 3 mile handicap chase. Why? He ran in it last year. He was 2nd behind Royal Pagaille, the Gold Cup horse. Okay, he's maybe not Gold Cup horse, but he's certainly not a handicapper. Cap du Nord finished 2nd to him off a mark of 133. At the weekend, he ran off a mark of 135. If the handicapper drops him £2, he'll be running off the same mark as when beaten by a horse who ended up in the Gold Cup. Nothing wrong with that. He's actually finished 5th as well, Cap du Nord, back at Kempton in this race here in February of this year, and that came off a mark of 142. So back down to a mark of 135, 134, 133 sort of thing. I think he'll go very, very close at Kempton, and he's one I'm very interested in, again, if he turns up at Kempton on the 27th of December. So moving on to today, I thought My Mate Mozzie was super impressive. It's nicely supported from 11 to 8 into 4 to 5. Really impressive. Wins nicely. Beats RTR2. I highlighted him for Cheltenham. I think he's good for Cheltenham. He'll run in the Supreme Novice, and I think he'll run a really good race. He's now had 2 runs. Both of those were where Lebaix ran. So Lebaix started in the same maiden, and then he ran in this Grade 3. Also to win this Grade 3 have been Mengli Khan, ran a good race in the Supreme. Aramon ran well in the Supreme, and then obviously won a county hurdle. No, he didn't. He finished second in a county hurdle to Saint-Ouen. Who else ran in this race? Abacadabras. Abacadabras won this race at Navan. It's a race that works out well anyway. I liked my mate Mozzie going into the race. I thought he was very impressive. He's currently 14 to 1 for the Supreme Novice. If you don't have a bet in the Supreme Novice already, I actually think that's a good each way bet at this stage. 14 to 1. I think he'll be top 5. I really do. And we might not have even seen half of the Supreme Novice field, but I really think my mate Mozzie has done everything right. He's won the right races, and he's looked very impressive in doing so. So if you don't already have my mate Mozzie down for Cheltenham, I definitely think you should be looking at having an each way bet on him already. I've run over time, so we'll keep the next ones short. I'm interested in 50 ball going forward. Manila Trump came into the race with fitness on his side. 50 ball was having his first run over fences. I thought it was a good effort. Just got tired late on. There's an obvious race back for him at Sandown, and it's this one here. It's 2.5 mile novice handicap on Friday the 3rd of December. He is rated 135 at the moment, so we'll have to check to make sure he gets back in. Hopefully he's rated 135 again. And the final race that I wanted to talk about was this one, that Buddy Rich beat Belly Adam. So frustrating. I've actually written down on my notes here, Buddy Rich / wide receiver. And I've written those 2 down because I thought Belly Adam was going to win the race. I think a lot of people thought Belly Adam, although he was a little bit weak in the market at the end. I put Buddy Rich and wide receiver because I was looking at them for Grand Annual. I thought they were going to be handicapped for the Grand Annual. Buddy Rich looked like he had been, finishing second to Cape Gentleman, second to Third Time Lucky. I don't think either of those 2 are going to win an Arkle, but I think they'll run in the Arkle, so the horses that finish behind are like for the handicaps. Buddy Rich winning this race might ruin his handicap mark. I think he might go up for that. Belly Adam is going to be too high regardless of where he runs, so he's not one for the handicap. And unfortunately, wide receiver fell and lost his life, which was very sad. So both of those were crossed off for the Grand Annual after today's performances. So they're my thoughts for the races. As I said, if I wanted to pick one out of those that I'm most confident on, Captain Orr back at Kempton, really impressed with that. And for the Cheltenham Festival, my mate Mozzie, really like that. 14 to 1, I think is actually a good price for the Supreme Novice as it stands.